There we go. Hello, everybody. Anyone joining from buffer time. I've got to get a few things set up before we start the stream, so please enjoy the lovely tones of the TNG engine hum for just a few minutes. It won't be too long. One joining from buffer time. I've got to get a few things set up before we start the stream, so please enjoy the lovely tones of the TNG engine hum for just a few minutes. It won't be too long. One joining from buffer time. I've got to get a few things set up before we start the stream, so please enjoy the lovely tones of the TNG engine hum for just a few minutes. It won't be too long. Buffer time. I've got to get a few things set up before we start the stream, so please enjoy the lovely tones of the TNG engine hum for just a few minutes. It won't be too long. One joining from buffer time. I've got to get a few things set up before we start the stream, so please enjoy the lovely tones of the TNG engine hum for just a few minutes. It won't be too long. One joining from buffer time. I've got to get a few things set up before we start the stream, so please enjoy the lovely tones of the TNG engine hum for just a few minutes. It won't be too long. Buffer time. I've got to get a few things set up. Oh, I forgot I had my stream open in my other monitor, so how long was that looping? Good morning, Tuvalu, and welcome to Star Trek The Original Series, Season 1, Episode 14, Balance of Terror, or as the real fans know it, Episode 8. Which I should turn off all my production lights, all my film lights, because I'm not on camera anymore. Yes, where, I don't know if anyone's here from buffer time. Yeah, oops, I was a little less present than I would have hoped, but there was like a insane, 10-15 second audio delay on my end, so, it, was a little hard to have a conversation like that. That's worse than on the moon. Let me turn these hums down. But yes, if you've never been to one of these before, we are going to be watching Balance of Terror. I should get the episode set up on my end. I've never done this right back up against anything before. But basically, while I get set up so you have the opportunity, this is a bring your own episode style format, because I can't just stream an episode of Star Trek. We'll do a little countdown. There are things to keep sync, but you gotta get, a DVD. I use a digital backup of a Blu-ray. Paramount Plus, link in the description. Go get Balance of Terror, get that started, get that ready to play, and then we'll sync. And essentially, I'm just recording, a commentary track live. There we go. Here's my episode up. And hopefully this isn't over anything critical. Oh, come on. There we go. Hey, look at that. So yeah, we have some things to help us where, there we go. I've got the slightly little transparent thing that also changes the speed of, this way around. Annoyingly, the hotkey I have to show/hide, there we go, to slow/hide that, is the same as changing the time controls on VLC Media Player, which is very bad if you're trying to stay in sync. Yeah, Balance of Terror is, of course, a very famous episode. It is interesting. I don't really remember how much I like it. Generally, especially with older shows, I tend to disagree a lot on people with what the good episodes are, and the best ones especially. Not so much with TOS. TOS, I tend to be pretty in line, but I definitely know there's stuff I like, some stuff I won't. But I think this is actually the first time I've seen it since the Strange New Worlds episode. Whatever the one... I don't remember the name, because it's not I would have named it something like Balance of Terror. But the Strange New Worlds one, where it's this episode, but Pike is in charge. I meant to watch that beforehand, but holidays. So yeah, this should be interesting. This should be fun. And another note, I am watching the remastered versions. That actually probably does matter here. If you have the original, that's fine. Don't panic. It is exactly the same length. We'll stay in sync. But if I comment on, like, a special effect or something, you're probably seeing a different special effect. I think they're pretty close. Usually, it's very rarely something drastic that they change. But just a personal preference of mine is the remastered version. You know, when I see my starships in front of the green screen, I prefer not to see all the green screen holes in the starships, and I just think they do a good job remastering it. But I think now that's plenty of setup. My internet... Ooh, yeah. Why is it weird? It's Sunday. I guess that's weird. Drop frames 5%. It's a watch-along. We're not buffering, so that is the most important thing. But maybe I will have to hide... Oh, great. That one? Okay, that one. There we go. That's now speed 100%. Maybe I'll have to hide this slightly transparent view. But how we're going to do this is a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And on go, everybody is going to hit play, and then we'll be synced up. And of course, you'll see the background a little bit, the episode in the background. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And that actually clicked. That doesn't always happen. I'm gonna hide my mouse behind that arm. Ooh, is this remastered, actually? That's kind of great. Oh, duh. No, the ship looked good. This is remastered. Oh, I always forget this is the episode where they've got the church on the Enterprise, strangely. I always want to try and commit the captain's, like, wedding speech to memory. From the days of the first sailing ship. I mean, I got married in a Starfleet uniform, which sounds cool, but my wife got married in a scant, so I think they beat me. I remember I used to be really convinced that Strange New Worlds was going to introduce the first explicitly religious Starfleet officer in Pike, and I thought they were going to make Pike Christian. That was a little theory of mine that never turned out. One of you will die, I just don't remember which. Sorry, I think I had to mute the audio properly. That didn't happen at my wedding, I'll have to admit, when I got married in a Starfleet uniform. It is a crime that Star Trek never won an award for its sound effects. They're all so good. Is that Sulu on the comms? I don't think we've seen a lot of Sulu in these past few episodes. Have we done Naked Time? I can't remember now. For new viewers, there's a tradition in the intro where I do something like this every episode. I don't know why that's banana. Banana, banana. Every time I do this, somebody joins the stream right before the intro. The little concurrent viewer thing ticks up, And I'm like, oh no. Of all the times you could have joined the stream, why that part? Good year. I don't remember too much about Balance and Terror, but I think I remember all the big plot points. I do like these structures of episodes where it's based on like the old submarine genre of movies. I don't think I've ever seen a submarine movie, but especially with the old like 60s aesthetic, it does great with the technology and the tension, and of course loads of stuff like of course we introduced the Romulans this episode. I've got my own much better theory of how the Romulans are related to the Vulcans, because the one this episode gives is dumb, but we'll wait, we'll get to that. Most people don't have screens, but okay. It's a shame that the Enterprise NX had to downgrade to nukes. Mad respect for Enterprise and Strange New Worlds maintaining that. As much as Strange New Worlds plays with canon, I'm glad they don't play with that. God, I want Enterprise Season 5 now. That's what I want. I want Enterprise Season 5. I guess it makes sense, because, you know, with Discovery and Strange New Worlds, we've been through a lot. But technically, it's like, we want to avoid war by not crossing the neutral zone. Despite, even if the Romulans cross the neutral zone, you know? I bet we would have got him in Enterprise. Captain Styles. Kirk really is a good captain, and pop culture does its best to make you forget that. Like, he has his flaws, don't worry, but he's also got great lines. It's shields up, red alert, Captain. Fire photon torpedoes. Does anyone know? Does it stay battle stations through like all the TOS, or do they eventually just go to red alert? Early TOS, always so interesting. Heck, just any TOS, always so interesting. I think he's the one that dies. Hey, best of Trek, worst of Trek, depends on the episode. Even in TNG and later, it's sometimes called Battle Station. Is it really? Ooh, that just never registered to me. It's just, I think TOS things register more to me as being like off because it is a series. It really doesn't gel well with anything after. I've always said TOS is best vaguely remembered, not perfectly recalled, you know? Oh, you know what? I bet, like, Cisco calls it battle stations. That makes sense in my head now that I hear it. If I didn't have something later today, I'd probably go watch the, Strange New Worlds version of this episode after this. I bet credits. No, you're right. Like, I can hear in my head now Picard saying battle stations. I can't hear Janeway. I wonder if Janeway does it. Huh. I love I love the slightly overacted everything about TOS, but it's good. You still get like this is really one of the best episodes. I want to. There we go. That guy. He's doing some amazing eye acting, some amazing makeup, or he's genuinely a bit injured. Because he does, like, a great kind of half open, I'm about to die eye look. That was really good. Riker and Chakotay have ordered battle stations, not sure about Janeway. There we go. I'll make a note for watching through watching through Voyager again. What stats do I want to keep? Got the music. I forgot about this song. Yeah, no, forget. Intro me was dumb. This is just a flat out great episode. It's hard to imagine Star Trek without the Romulans. Like, especially on first viewing, their episodes are always so good and interesting. Yeah, Cisco, as I said, he definitely does battle stations. Ooh, is this one of TOS's top 3? I wonder if I should rank them later on. It's gotta be up there. At least so far, like, I've been gripped the whole time and, like, engaged. Which is hard knowing what's happening in general, but that's also usually for, like, 60 shows in general, this and Doctor Who that I watch. Even if they're good, I'm not always, like, gripped. But this one's, like, have to keep reminding myself, like, no, you do have to at least provide a little bit of commentary. Because TOS actually, like, continues this storyline, doesn't it? Like, its other Romulan episodes, though rare, it's almost like a sense of building, you know, that we're now interacting with the Romulans, and in response to this, Starfleet's gonna try and get a cloak, and, I swear there's a third Romulan episode, but maybe there's not. And that's really rare in TOS, that kind of world building, and I like it. Like, with the Klingons, you kind of have the three main commanders, but it's a bunch of isolated incidents. That does feel, especially with kind of the wider knowledge of the franchise. It's setting up Dowd and Spock, but, like, that seems like a bit of a big jump. Although, I don't know, maybe it was something they did in Enterprise, wasn't it? Ooh, I swear Enterprise, didn't they set up, like, some sort of Vulcan spy in their 4th season? Or, Romulan spy, sorry. Yeah, no, never mind. Maybe it's just standard practice, because they do it in Picard. Heck, they probably do it everywhere. TNG. You like Ortega's being that character better. I remember Ortega's feeling weird in the Stranger Worlds take, because she had a kind of like that built-up racism and animosity that just didn't fit to me. But at least this guy, they provide some background. You know, even if I have some flaws with the character, at least he's got... If you ignore, like, Star Trek is only 8 episodes in the universe, it does make sense, I think. It holds a lot better. He looks like my dad! Come on, say the line. Fascinating. I think I've told this story first. My wife's reaction to the Romulans, because we started with TOS, was, that looks like Spock's dad. And I went, actually, hang on a minute. Pretty sure that is the guy that goes on to play Spock's dad, which I'd forgotten when we did our watch through. All right, I can do my theory. Hang on, let's get Spock give his thing, and then I can talk about how the Romulans split from Vulcans, because I think I don't like the official explanation. I love this scene. Yeah. I really like this scene and this bit of Kirk. He really does have great kind of moral foundations. It bothers me every time that he has like a totally different attitude when it comes to Bones and Spock. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's friendly banter. I'm like, it's double standards. Like, I don't know. McCoy often goes way past friendly banter. And even then, I have problems with friendly racism in the form of friendly banter. Like, I know it happens. I know the recipient is often, like, just fine with it. But I just don't like it. There she is. A good design. The birds always felt a little cartoony to me, but... you know, it's an iconic ship now. And I love the purpley, the colors in the Romulan ship. Yeah, I mean, everything about this, I think it's just really solidly put together. I mean, I like the character of the Romulan commander as well. I know the Romulans are kind of the Klingons become what the Romulans were going to be. So there's a decent amount of Klingon in these Romulans. But still, I mean, even there, you get still a lot of the intrigue, a lot of the proud. And yeah, I just like the kind of worry warrior of this character. Like, you know, in 100 years, or maybe even 100 years ago, this guy could have been, you know, working with Spock and towards unification. It's really like the guy born in the wrong time kind of vibe. And, you know, we get it. It was like in another life, in another time. I think the Romulan Vulcan plotline is kind of one of my favorites throughout the history of the franchise. And if Romulans are like Vulcans, do we know if they also have like 200-year lifespans? Because that guy very well could have been around for Enterprise. I mean, physically he's the same age as Spock's dad, so Sarek was a little young for the Earth Romulan War, I think, but it's not too far off. Man, it gets a while till Spock speculates on what the Romulans are. Oof. Well, they got a lot of Spock's line from Prodigy from this episode. I'm just recognizing. Wait, do they aim visually with forehand? I just saw the phaser room. I don't remember that. Mm-hmm. A lot of lore in this one. I thought it was this episode. It's some point, someone basically speculates that perhaps the Romulans were a lost colony, sorry, that became the Empire. Just like offhand, and that seems to be the theory that everyone rolls with. I mean, Star Trek Online goes with it, and I've always just felt that dumb. I mean, first off, that would have had to happen at a point where Vulcan could send a colony ship, which would reach Romulus, which is galactically close, but pretty far from Earth and Vulcan. That ship would have had to land, and in the time between then and Enterprise, form a formidable interstellar empire in the time where the Vulcans had only become, like, you know, a moderate power in the region. Just doesn't work for me. You know what I like a lot better? That just works so much TOS. They lived a very long time ago. I believe technically outside the frame of when this would happen, but, you know, I'm doing my best. The preservers are the people who would go to planets that had, like, horrible, you know, it was like horrible things were happening. Their people might die. It's how we get a tribe of, an ancient Native American tribe on, like, some alien planet for Paradise Lost. And it's one of the explanations for why there's so many humanoids in the galaxy. Well, why not just say that the Romulans were a group of Vulcans who were picked up during before the time of Sarek, where it's like, oh, that horrible, bloodthirsty, before Sarek started bringing his people out of the darkness, and plopped them down on Romulus. And of course, Vulcan eventually had Sarek, and they went towards logic and that pacifism. But the Vulcans on Romulus took a very different, going past their super strong emotions. And they went into that empirical, that discipline, the secrecy and the intrigue, and eventually became the Romulan Star Empire. And at that point, they have centuries to become an interstellar empire. They're at a similar technological stage to the Vulcans when they separate. Like, it just works so much better to me if the Romulans are a much more ancient offsuit because of some intervention by someone like the Preservers. And if I ever got a chance to write Star Trek, it'd be bad. I know it's remastered, but that comet effect they were showing us, I was talking, was pretty good. Like, no, it was really good. Looked great. Wasn't too flashy, it was just like a cool comet. See, no way does this room fire by sight. They fire by sensors the whole... I guess you could have a camera outside, theoretically. Ouch. I knew we should never hang massive chunks of ceiling on the ceiling. In fact, that's vaguely, like, TARDIS interior-esque with the roundels. Bum, 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 ba-dum, ba-dum. But whenever someone gives an order, like, divert all power to weapons, I'd always be nervous, like, do you think that includes life support? Uh-oh, we buffered. We buffered. For a few seconds. I mean, unless you pause, we're still in sync, but I didn't say anything. Yeah, I don't know what's up with the internet. On paper, I absolutely have more than enough internet. I have like 6 times the internet I need. I know it doesn't matter, but like whenever the ships go backwards at warp, it always just feels weird. You know, it's like it's just not right. Hey, she is in this episode. Red alert, the ship's just been hit. I know. I need to go to the captain and make him record a log. Do the phasers not? Well, I guess if it's like a particle weapon, technically the particles would go forever, but... nah, fair enough, fair enough. I mean, a massive limited range, sure, but... Don't tell me that your phasers can go that far. I'd be amazed. And Kirk and the Romulan captain are shown like really. I like it. You know, it's like a sort of. It's sort of anti-war, in the sense that it's showing that both sides of the ship are the same. You know, I mean, we have this guy grieving over his lost colleague. We're showing that the Romulan commander and Captain Kirk are very similar. They think the same, they act the same, very similarly at least. Like, they're basically the same people working for different powers. And so, like, yeah, it's tense, it's great, it's good, but it's even a good just like military story. But I also do get anti-war vibes. And, like, fighting against this guy's prejudice, you know? Just Spock happens to look like the Romulan. Well, heck, Spock's people are related to the Romulans, ergo they're bad. You know, just fighting against that idea. So implying that a phaser distance at close range is harder? Interesting. I would have thought you'd have a bigger target and nothing else changes. Oh, if they're invisible, then yeah, would be lucky. Hey, Kirk just violated his first direct order. Way to go. Even just the look on his face of like, we're in the neutral zone, we're at war now. Oh yeah, and the Sentry's dead. It's probably more that, isn't it? Well, it's like the first conflict of the war, you know? Like, we're showing the enemy is not wanting war almost more than Kirk, and I really like that. Yeah, like, he's the offense. He's the aggressor here. But his mission is just to go home. You know, it's at least his personal mission. He doesn't really care about the Federation or the conflict. And so now you've almost swapped. You've almost have the Federation as the aggressors. At least, you know, you get the impression. It's almost painted that way. I know, of course, the Federation are not the aggressors here. But, I also really get the sense as well, like, I can see how events unfolded the way they did with Pike. Like, you know, if you just give this Romulan commander one sign of, like, peace, he'll take it. I absolutely see that. He'll go against command and just take it. I'm probably gonna watch that episode, honestly, when I get a chance. I knew you really get the sort of submarine warfare parts of the episode. I imagine this actually does happen on, like, real military ships, or the submarines where you're hiding, you know. It maybe it does, but probably, I can't imagine it really matters if the crew are actually just talking at normal level. Maybe it would reverberate into, like, the hulls of the submarine if you have really good sensors on the enemy ship. But, you know, in space, they don't have to. They absolutely can just talk normally. They're just not, because that sort of instinctual feeling of having to hide and be quiet. Or just, you know, the tension and the unease. And let's look at that face. That man's not unease. Exactly the sort of statistical fancy talk that is either incorrect or meaningless, depending on how you want to interpret it. To say there is only was, as in the only one entity, for me, example, that is sitting in this chair giving this specific live stream in these exact space-time coordinates, is just a duh. Of course there's only one of me. To say that there is no other being in the universe like me, or even to the fact that there is another being quantumly exactly like me, in a quantumly exactly similar position, in a quantumly identical galaxy to our own, and even for quite some time, a quantumly identical region of space, is rather meaningless. In the observable universe, I have no idea the odds of that, but, if the universe is truly infinite, then it becomes a statistical certainty that there are infinitely as many versions of me giving infinitely as many versions of this live stream. So either meaningless or obvious, depending on how you want to state it. I was already compliment that speech. I was on there for it. Pew. the phase, that's a good... I've never heard energy with a thud before. Like that phaser sound. I love it. Just pew, but the thud. It's got weight. For some reason. Ah. Well. Alright, I'll allow it. Quick, Ahura, run! Run to the emergency lights. What is the damage of a nuke in space? Because there's no shockwave, question mark? There's no air shockwave. That's a question for someone who knows more about nukes than me. Yeah, that one makes sense. I could have sworn they played dead. Oof. Okay, that probably is pretty bad. Why did you fly into the debris? Who knows, but... Hey, look, we went like 40 minutes before I actually nitpicked the episode. That's how you know it's a good one. What's that look? Sulu's giving her a weird look. I wonder if there's a meta thing in there. George Takei's just saying they're like, an Asian and a black woman at the foremost stations on the bridge. Man, I love this show. That probably would have been weird, like, at the time. Because I imagine on set, you probably rarely get one of those in, like, a prominent position, let alone two. And yeah, this episode actually set up a lot of good pieces for Stranger Worlds to do with what they did with... Well, you know, you got this guy who's basically the equivalent of Styles. You know, you got the two commanders who neither of which really want the war. And then you've got two sort of underlings. It's just a fast... There's a lot to bite into if you really want to analyze about the animosity, the race... Not necessarily racism... But, like, when you make an enemy out of another people or another nation, particularly considering, you know, all the Cold War stuff that was going on and would continue to go on, it's probably a best in Season 1. I'll give it a peek after this episode, what's in Season 1. But yeah, it's a lot better than I remember. Did it ever set up why that thing leaked, or did it just leak? I know I don't always have my fullest attention when I'm talking over and everything, but... Yeah, you even get, you know, the quote-unquote enemy saving the day. Like, quote-unquote, unquote, 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 enemy saving the day. Just realized you probably couldn't make a video call in the 60s of, like, any kind. Maybe a live television broadcast? Yeah. In the 60s, yeah. No, all TV, no, yeah, I don't remember. I'm 24. I mean, fantastic introduction to the Romulans as an episode. The 8th one ever produced. You know, they really started strong pretty early. Yeah, that's some proper Star Trek right there. I mean, I love as well that we kind of end on the lowest down sort of human cost of everything. Thank you. But yeah, no, I think it's a great little analysis of a lot of different pieces of animosity between nations, between people. They're not at war, but I think it still is an episode that deals with war and kind of the consequences. And I mean, if you think we're a world here in 1966 where like the possibility of an all-out conflict with between America and the USSR is a very real thing, and so you could kind of see that as the prelude to the big war that never happened. And this is almost a cautionary tale against that. Here we go. Let's see what Kirk has to say about it. All right, maybe slightly undermine everything I just said. But no, still, I don't think that was the best line you could have had for it, but it might be one of the best sort of advocating for pacifism stories in the franchise, let alone the series. But I'd have to really look before making a claim like that. All right, and as we just kind of roll into those end credits, and yeah, you cut even with them just basically going back to their lives, but still with the sort of overhang of what had happened. Let's get rid of that. I really need button mappings, but so many of the keys are just used for things. Yeah, what else is there? So we've had Charlie X. We did have the Naked Time. So what are you going? Little Girls, Dagger of the Mind, Conscious of the King. Ooh, Galileo 7, God, that's an episode I'm gonna rip to shreds. Yeah, no, I think that's the best, that's gotta be the best of season. Oh, you got the City on Edge of Forever, sorry. That one's good. Gothos is good, but in a different way. Which one's Dagger of the Mind? I always have to check this one. Oh, yeah, I remember. No, City on the Edge of Forever is one of those beloved ones I don't think I love as much as everyone else. So yeah, Balance of Terror probably is easily the best, so it's all downhill from here for the next 21 weeks. No. Yeah, I mean, brilliant. Easily one of the best of TOS. It could potentially crawl its way up to #1. We had the Corbinite maneuver. That was good. I don't know if the Corbinite maneuver is so constantly engaging as that. I think it's just, first off, it's executed all very well, and it was paced great, which is a godsend in the 60s. But it also just has a whole lot to unpack as we went through that you could really digest and analyze and be like, well, what's it saying? Both about like the 60s and of course that you can apply to now. Fantastic. Well-deserving is its place as an all-time classic. Probably the all-time classic, really, if I were to get down to it. Well, I guess Tribbles. The Tribble one is pretty popular. But yeah, I don't know. I might still keep doing with TOS. I've been debating the idea of doing multiple series in parallel so it doesn't take like 20 years to get to some of the later ones. Hey, what's TOS? It's like 5 years. 80 episodes is 80 weeks. It's a good long while. But we'll see. So far, it's just me, kind of people watching these as videos, less live stream. I think I'm okay to do it this way. But, yeah, I love that. That was a good way to spend an evening. But as I said, I have got stuff to do today. I've got some stuff I need to prepare for that stuff I got to do today. So I think I will sign it off. Next weekend we should, what is it? It would be What Are Little Girls Made Of? Which has got some interesting stuff in its own right as well. At least TOS, even if the episodes are middling, they almost always deal with some interesting philosophical or moral or just general kind of sci-fi situation that you can sink your teeth into. Oh god, Arena. Arena is also season 1. Okay, you got a lot of good season 1. You got a lot of classic season 1. But yeah, as I said, I think I will wrap it up. Thank you all very much for watching. Thank you for those that joined me live. And I'll see you next time. I almost forgot my